Hey, number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking. Today we're talking about knife defense. If you are a long-time subscriber, you know that I've got a few videos. I've tackled this idea of knife defense, knife fights, and there's a very old video of mine which somehow got 1.2 million views, the mysteries of the algorithmic hell pit. But then we also have this one when it comes to GUN defense videos on YouTube. I don't even know if this one got demonetized, to be honest with you. But yeah, so it is a topic that is not something that I'm completely new to. Although usually when I cover this on my channel, I always find those horrible instructors that will get you offed if you do what they say. They're complete nonsense. I'm talking about full-on mech dojos. But unfortunately, some people will believe and they do it for money. And I think it's really, really disgraceful. And unfortunately, those sort of video tutorials in combination with movies and in general, the approach of Hollywood towards knife defense and even empty-handed versus knife. I mean, already knife versus knife is something that you may win, of course, but empty-handed versus knife? It's like really bad. Very, very horrible odds. Usually it's always better to find alternatives and in fact, prevent. That's the best thing you can try and do. Prevent or be better armed than them and keep distance. Today, we are instead reviewing a channel that is pretty decent. I mean, I've already reviewed and reacted once, I think, to Jesse, who is a karate practitioner and martial artist. It's a very, very successful channel. Plus, he sometimes collaborates with the man himself. So I think he's a credible source. He does very, very humble guy. But he has this video, and I'm actually curious to see what happens.
A vast majority of people who survive knife attacks have absolutely no training whatsoever. Now, does training improve our odds of survivability? Yes. But it's what kind of training matters.
That's Paulo Rubio.
Sure.
The world-famous knife instructor. He's traveled the globe to document the greatest experts in combat.
This is brilliant.
Jesse, this is an ancient methodology.
Today, he's invited me to FMJ, a tactical facility usually reserved for special forces. Because it's time to learn the truth about knife defense.
Hey, you know me, I'm all about the truth, so I'm really excited to see if this guy is finally gonna provide us with good instruction when it comes to what to do in a situation where there might be a possibility of a knife fight involvement.
Planning the environment, I'm grooming, I'm indexing.
You're giving criminals a lot of good ideas right now.
Go!
Go.
Up here, this was a real knife, and I wanted to kill you.
Okay.
What's the truth about knife defense?
Yeah, what is
a
the
knife
truth?
thrust can happen as fast as 0.14 seconds. When you blink your eyes, it takes 0.10 to 0.40 seconds. For you to initiate a defensive action, it takes about half a second.
Right.
And so the mathematics of knife defense is impossible. Even if you see it coming and you initiate a defense, the likelihood of you being successful at it is very low. Think about this. What percentage of the world's population do you think does martial arts?
Okay, this is really nice, actually. I like how this is beginning. Because oftentimes when it's the mech dojos and the horrible stuff, they just show you, I've got it all. Just do this, do that, and it's nonsense. I like that he's creating a prefix. I still don't know if I trust the expert. We'll see. But up to this point, at least I love the methodology of the approach. So he's giving us some statistics. Doesn't matter if it's 0.1, 0.1.4. It makes sense. It is extremely difficult to react successfully to a stab with a knife, like a shiv, what have you. Objectively true. I like statistics. I like averages.
Less than 1%?
Less than 1%. What percent of knife attack survivors do you think have done any kind of martial arts training? It's not even in the right. So a vast majority of people who survive knife attacks have absolutely no training in whatsoever. Luck has almost everything to do with it. Now, does training improve our odds of survivability? Yes. It's what kind of training matters. Let me paint you another picture. You watch football. You watch the Swedish football team.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when that goalkeeper is standing on that line, do you think that that goalkeeper is seeing that ball travel in midair, processing the spin trajectory, and then at the last moment making a dive?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. So how are they able to make saves? What information?
So it has to be some kind of prediction, right? It can't be a reaction.
Right.
Well, maybe a reaction as well, a little bit like muscle memory, I suppose.
So they look at the body language.
Body language.
Oh, body language. Good.
And of course, they're drawing from experience.
Drawing from experience.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Good.
And luck.
And a little
Hey, Jesse's great. I like Jesse. So humble, but so smart. Look how he literally figured it out.
bit of luck, all of those things. So it's the lead up, it's the moments before the kick, it's the last point of contact to the ball. So that's all knife defense is. It's a probability judgment based on the information that you can gather in a split second.
That is great. Up to this point, I really like him. Also because what he did now is a technique that we teachers use. I mean, I was a former teacher 10 years. That is, he's not just giving you the information. He could have just told him everything, but he's having his pupil, his student, in this case, the guest, of course, is having them figure out the answers. That is a teaching method. And the reason why he's doing that is because if you just lecture and people listen, they'll forget a lot of what you're saying. But if you're giving them hints a little bit and then they figure out the answer, they feel good about it, it becomes an experience that locks that information into your synapses. That's why teachers do it. Some teachers try to use this, but then they don't give you enough hints, the student doesn't get the answers, and the teacher gets mad and sometimes even ridicules the student. That's a failure, okay? That's a fraud of a teacher. It's excellent so far.
Much less about the actual techniques than it is about the things preceding the technique.
Exactly. Now, the thing is, whenever I say something like this, you know, it can be a little bit offensive because yes, technique matters, right?
Right.
But so does strength.
Yeah.
So does speed, and those things I can't control.
Right.
If you're a big, strong linebacker and I'm a 62-year-old woman, it doesn't matter how much detailed technique and instruction that I receive. It doesn't matter how good that technique is. I'm not going to be able to pull it off again.
No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, a successful goalkeeper, how many times must they save the ball out of 10 penalty shots for them to be considered really good goalkeeper?
Oh, I'm not a huge football or soccer fan.
In baseball, if you have a .3 batting average, if you hit 3 times out of 10, you're getting paid a lot of money.
Really?
You're considered successful.
Okay.
Right.
So in knife defense, whenever I see people successfully defend in a demo 100% of the times, I begin to think that's an unrealistic expectation. I hear this all the time, right? In a knife fight, you will get cut.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah. So I think that's a defeatist mentality, right? And if we study CCTV videos, you certainly see that people get cut, but you also see people not getting cut. Yeah. It's like, but if...
Very situational. Absolutely. This man appears to know what he's talking about.
If I say, hey, look, if you're going to get in a boxing match, expect to get punched.
Yeah.
Fine.
Right.
that makes sense.
Probably.
And I think the reason people say you will get cut or expect to get cut is that they don't want you to be shocked by it, and that the philosophy is to continue fighting.
I think, rather than that, I disagree with the expert here. I think the people that say this, in a knife fight, if you get into a knife fight, expect to get cut, is to discourage you to get into a knife fight. Because once again, it's to combat that mentality that, oh, I'm good, I'm cool, I'm great, I'm tough guy, and I can take the clearly tougher, faster, stronger guy with a knife, and I don't have a knife and I will be unscathed. I think, so he's right. Absolutely. When he's like, sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. But I do believe that the people that mention this, so the reason why this has become so popular as a statement when talking about knife fights, is because you want to discourage people from getting into those knife fights. Now, of course, if you have to, and there is no other way, it is what it is. But it's a very small, extremely small percentage of cases in which I would say, yeah, that's exactly a case. One of which, for example, you need to defend someone, like they grabbed your child, they grabbed your daughter. Yeah, you got to fight, and you can't run away, you can't go anywhere, and you got to fight, and you have to win.
What are some of those things we could be looking out for if we are about to get attacked?
100%. So this is important. These are called pre-attack indicators. And
yeah, good.
More or less universal.
Yeah.
All right. So one of those things is called indexing. So if we're having an argument right here, and you see me doing this.
Oh.
Right? Yeah.
You're searching.
Well, it's not that you're searching. You know where that concealed weapon is, right? You can get that weapon out very, very quickly.
Holy moly, that was fast.
But why am I touching it? Why is this
confidence?
Why is this a pre-attack indicator? Why is this a sign, Jesse, that you're about to get stabbed?
Because there's some kind of comfort in feeling your weapon?
Right.
That's
so
what
look,
I thought. Yeah.
If you've ever proposed to a lovely woman who you wanted to be your wife.
Oh, it's anxiety.
You had that ring in your pocket all day long. What were you doing all day long?
Checking.
It's so
Why?
true.
You want to know that it's there when it's time to pull it out. Another pre-attack indicator.
I see.
What,
They do that.
It's called
They
scanning
do
the
that.
environment.
They do that. I've seen that. Again, let's just reminding for context, I was brought up in Sicily, so I wasn't brought up in the safest environment, let's put it this way. I've seen that. I've seen that exactly like he's showing. Absolutely. Scanning the environment to see if you're going to get witnesses to what you're about to do.
So what am I doing when I'm scanning the environment?
Making sure you can attack me.
Making sure I can attack you. Maybe I'm looking for cameras. Maybe
yeah.
I'm waiting for my friends to arrive.
Yeah.
Maybe as soon as I stab you, I'm looking for an exit point.
You're giving criminals a lot of good ideas right now.
Well, see, the thing is,
They
these
already
happen
know, yeah.
subconsciously. This is not a thing that you can necessarily control.
Happens subconsciously. I really like this guy up to this point. Like, I feel I'm learning, even though, once again, some of these things I know because of where I was brought up, which was in Flowery Paradise.
Control. You know what I mean? Like this. You see this? What is this?
Yeah.
Grooming.
Self-soothing.
Oh, man, I'm already...
Self-soothing behavior, fiddling, fidgeting, touching, even rubbing the heels of your feet. These are ancient. We have ancient Greek sources mentioning this for the ancient Greek soldiers before the battle began, before the impact of the phalanx against their opponents. Let me tell you a little bit about that. Tertius writes about men who bite their lips and rub the heels of their feet to try and release their fear. Xenophon and Plutarch describe in details the terror that possesses the soldiers right before battle. I find this description noteworthy, and I'd like to focus on it for a brief moment. These non-verbal cues are highly indicative of the Greek soldier's mental state here. Actions such as fidgeting, engaging in lip compression movements are all signs of self-soothing behavior due to a markedly heightened anxious state or stress. In other words, the so-called fight or flight response, which can lead to involuntary movements and dryness of the mouth. The heel rubbing is also a form of anxiety display due to the huge cognitive load the individuals were under. To me, this is a beautifully realistic description because it's true to the human nature of war, which, as you can see, hasn't changed. Humans are humans, whether they be ancient or modern. And in this case, body language speaks more than words, because words can be controlled, articulated, and crafted.
Feeling it. Yeah. You're about to attack me.
Oh boy. And that's another thing I talk about.
Yeah.
You can infuse emotional gravity into a training environment.
Yeah.
Right. So,
but it's so weird that I also feel a kind of threat from you just because you start grooming yourself. Maybe even the viewers can feel it when they see that. Yeah.
That's your
That's
intuition.
Weird. Yeah.
That's intuition.
That's the DNA. Yeah.
You ever walk into a place, Jesse, and you're like, this is a bad...
Many times.
Right.
That's why I've never been in a real fight.
Right.
Because I always avoid them.
So you trust your intuition.
Good.
Yes.
What is intuition? Intuition is subconscious pattern recognition. So you're not logically saying, I see him, and it's just a gut feeling. So you trust your intuition. So back to these pre-attack indicators, right? So I'm scanning the environment, I'm grooming, I'm indexing, and then one last thing, there are many. Okay, we're talking, and then I do this. I blade my body.
Yeah.
Oh, like this.
Yeah, you do that in a lot of martial arts.
Yeah, you're open.
And then I'm like, bro.
Oh, you're loading up that.
Boom. Most people are what? Left hand?
It's so interesting also because one of the reasons why most combat styles, whether it be hand-to-hand, whether it be sword or weapon-based, in the majority of cases, I want to say all cases, in fact, well, never say never, but I'm going to say majority of cases, you don't face an opponent fighting like this. It is always a little bit lateral. And that is because at the end of the day, you are presenting less of a target because your chest, like this, you're presenting all of your vital organs, you're presenting your lungs, you're presenting your heart, your stomach. But once you turn this way, now from this target, it became this target. And it's, basically you're reducing center of mass. And it's something as he says, we do, if you're trained, you'll do it because that's what you're taught to do. It also, of course, helps with your balancing, with your footwork, which are extremely important in combat. But it's ancient, once again, because it's connected to all sorts of military combat positions.
Handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Most.
Yes.
So the power is on the right side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So look, we are adding bits of information to make a good probability judgment.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now we're having an argument. I'm indexing what could be a concealed weapon. I'm grooming. I'm scanning the environment. I blade.
I know something's about to go down right now.
Something's about to go down.
I think you would have to take distance now, because another thing that people I've seen do when they get like into street fights is they will get very close. You know, when they get very close to you, like this close, you shouldn't allow that. Because sometimes, particularly, I want to say men, because we have the whole testosterone thing, when someone does that, you don't want to back up. You want to show you're a tough guy as well. So you're gonna do it. You're gonna go into it. What you do? But from this distance, parrying, blocking, dodging, it's gonna be a problem. And he could headbutt you. Like, a lot of things can happen that you might not be able to control. Always keep the distance. So from having an animated conversation or an argument with someone and they close in the distance, regain that distance. No one cares about you having to be like, no, I'm macho man. Regain that distance, because then you're showing you're smart man. Intelligent man stays alive. Macho man, it depends. I think that your mental state is also important in connection to training. Now, of course, he said it depends. The training can improve your chances of survival, or likelihood of survival, and I absolutely agree with that. But sometimes it can decrease it. On that day, your otherwise qualified Aikido teacher or karate teacher decided, no, I'm going to show them a knife technique, and he shows you how to do the fancy move that is never going to work. And then you start to believe it. You start to convince yourself, well, I tried the move at the dojo 5 times, so yeah, I know how to defend myself in a knife fight. And so you might be more prone, because of this whole protagonist syndrome, if you will, you might be more likely to not avoid the confrontation, because you think, no, I know how to do it. I trained at the dojo, so I'm not going to avoid the fight. I'm going to seek the confrontation, I'm going to teach him a lesson, and then it's going to be like in the movies, and everyone is going to like me more, and I'll be like, wow, this guy really is cool, and then you get stabbed to death. Because believe it or not, some people think they're proficient just because they watch a Bruce Lee movie. I know. Natural selection, I guess, at that point. But then again, it is also possible that if an individual didn't practice those martial arts, providing him with a good mental space, then yeah, in that case, they did more damage than good. So mental framing, I think, when you are a teacher of martial art and you want to start introducing this idea, you want to tell your students, don't try to roundhouse kick someone with a knife just to show off your kicking capabilities.
So should I try to get away, or should I strike you before you strike me?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And there is no right answer, because you have to make the probability judgment.
Yes.
You have to be the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So it's based on the totality of circumstance.
Yeah.
And look, you're a karate guy.
Yeah.
Right? You have a good solid base.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you execute a good side kick from this position?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Could you do it when there's ice on the ground?
Ice? I would probably go lower.
Another thing we can't control are the infinite variables of weather, ground surface condition, your emotional state. Maybe you just had an argument.
You know, there is also another variable. You don't know who the guy in front of you is. You might misjudge them. Sometimes you might think, yeah, I can take this guy. But then they have 10 years of MMA. And maybe you're a good fighter, but he might be a better fighter than you. He might be stronger. He might be faster. He might be meaner. He might have less to lose than you. Pattern recognition is great, but there are things you just don't know. And you have to put the variables into the picture when you estimate. I don't know if I want to strike first in this case, right? That's why I always say maintain distance.
With somebody and you're just not thinking straight. Maybe you didn't sleep well last night.
Or didn't have my coffee.
Right.
Or you didn't
Coffee.
have
Coffee.
Yeah. So look at all of these
Guy.
factors. Infinite variables.
I love this guy. You didn't have your coffee.
If I'm not exhibiting any of these signs, and I just stab you, the math is way behind.
Oh yeah.
But now that you've recognized pre-attack indicators, you also know trajectories. Step back for a second.
Yeah.
If I swing this way, what's coming next?
Probably
this.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where training can kind of have a place.
Yes.
But in real
memory.
life, you have to be able to make good, solid decisions under stress, and you have to be able to constantly be assessing the situation to give yourself the most amount of information to be able to make a good probability judgment. But even then, you could be wrong.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just like that soccer player.
Right, and jump the wrong direction.
Yeah.
When it comes to knife
to be
defense.
wrong once. Can I try something with you real quick?
Let's do it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do
I'm
it.
just going to have you stand here. I'm going to give you instructions, okay? I'm going to stab you with a low line thrust, one of the most common attacks.
Right.
And I just want you to initiate some kind of a defensive action. I'm not going to go fast. It's just going to be this way. Okay. Why did you choose that?
Because this is what I've been trained to do.
Target away.
Okay, great. We're going to do it again, just one more time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything different. Same low line attack. Okay?
He is going to do something different.
Yeah.
He is.
Okay, wonderful. Great job.
I passed the test.
Did you feel that there was a difference between the first and the second?
Yes. The first was more static, more like a training environment. The second felt more real.
What does that mean, felt more real? This is not a realistic attack.
No, it was still slow, but you added more of the kind of body language I would expect from a real fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what else? Up here, this was a real knife, and I wanted to kill you. And you felt that.
Yes.
And you responded to that.
You might also notice that this video was posted 12 days ago, so you could be like, why did you wait so long to create a response video? Of course, from an algorithmic perspective, it would be more efficient for me to react immediately, but I don't want to take the original bulk of revenue views from creators. So usually I try to wait for the first 3 days have gone, which is where the bulk of the revenue comes in, before I react. Because right now, after 12 days, it's probably not making as much revenue anyways. But do go check out the original video, because I'll be skipping around. We won't watch the whole thing, just what I find important.
Our minds, our bodies, our spirit, if you will, are incredible machines that are so fine-tuned to dealing and identifying danger. If we can just be aware of those things. And sometimes it requires a moment like this to go, I can manufacture it. We're still in a training environment. Also, we have to give each other hugs and high fives afterwards. So you know why this is important to laugh in a training environment? You know why that's really important?
Tell me.
Because parts of our brain can't differentiate between a real event and one that's powerfully imagined. So there was a moment there where I was like, I really wanted to kill the karate nerd, Jesse Enkamp, right? And so we have to overwrite that.
I see.
We have to overwrite that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
By the way, wrestlers, jiu-jitsu people, and anything with a solid striking background like boxing, Muay Thai, karate, all of those are amazing for self-defense. You could probably sidekick me and I wouldn't even get my knife out. But it's based on your recognition prime decision making. It's based on the things that happen beforehand that you're able to deploy your tools.
So what happens after that initial threat assessment? And let's say somebody does attack us. What should we do?
Which do you think is better? An instinctive response or a trained response?
Gosh, that's another $1 million question, because I would say it depends on the situation. There might be situations in which the instinctive one is better, and there might be situations with the trained one is better.
Probably a combination of both.
Combination,
That's kind of the right answer. The next question would be, how do you know that your trained response has become instinctive?
When you don't have to think about it?
Okay. And what protocols do you have to ensure that?
I would say muscle memory, muscle memory.
Right?
Practice.
Right, but trying to recreate real moments, right? So I have you want to do a quick drill?
Please,
with me? Okay, I'm gonna get you to reverse blink.
Wait, what?
What's reverse blinking? So can you blink for 0.10 seconds?
Okay.
You see that? Yeah, you blink.
Okay, I'm blinking.
Oh, don't blink, or you'll miss it.
I'm a black belt in blinking.
Don't blink or you miss the blink.
Master. Okay, but what we're going to do, is you're going to close your eyes, and you're going to be, don't do it yet, I'm demonstrating for you, you're going to be in complete darkness. And when I say go, you're going to open, you're going to reverse blink your eye for 0.10 seconds.
Okay.
Boom.
Oh, okay.
And you're going to gather information in that quick
Interesting.
All right? So what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to hold up fingers.
Numbers.
And you just tell me what you see, okay? So
so I close my eyes.
And remember, when I say go and only go, you open it for 0.10 seconds, close them up again. Ready?
Yeah.
Go.
That was
so I saw
slower.
2 fingers.
That was
but you also opened your eyes way longer.
Really?
Yeah, that was way. You went like this. You went like this.
Yeah, no. It's gonna be like.
But that's what I felt I needed to register those 2 fingers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you're trying to beat the drill instead of trying to extract what we could be learning from it, which is how much information can I receive in a short amount of time. You don't need to be right all the time. You need to be honest with this drill.
Yeah.
So watch me.
Right.
Literally that. Now, here's the next evolution of the drill. When you open your eyes...
I kind of wish he repeated it, to be honest, since the first time he didn't do it right. But let's see.
A knife will be placed somewhere near you in a static way.
Okay.
Here's what you need to do. Open, close, and then slap it.
Slap the arm?
Just slap whatever you can slap. Only when I say go.
Slap whatever you can slap.
Go!
Sorry, I looked and then Yeah. It was like an instinct. When I saw it, I just wanted to...
What I'm trying to get you to understand here is that your brain can process information very, very quickly.
Yes, because I'm not even thinking.
You're not even
It's just instinct.
Right. Yeah. And what did you feel when your eyes were closed?
As I say, I don't want to watch the whole thing, so if you want to see how it ends... Oh, I see they ended up on the ground at one point. Absolutely do go watch the original video. Just give him a like now. But anyways, if you enjoyed it, we learned something. Massive thanks to Jesse. Massive thanks to the expert. I don't know his name. Paolo. Paolo is his name. Thank you, Paolo, for teaching us. And as always, stay safe. Always stay safe. And always try to avoid any sort of confrontation on the street with weapons involved. Just stay safe. Thank you very much for watching. Number one. See you tomorrow. And remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.